Today I'm going to show you guys the correct or classic ways to use certain overdrive pedals. Now obviously there's a lot of different ways you can use these, and I encourage you guys to experiment. I'm not saying you have to use the pedals these ways, but for those of you who have some pedals that you might not get along with or might not know how to use, I hope this gives you some ideas for how you can use them. By the way, if you have a favorite way to use one of these overdrive pedals that I didn't mention, please let us know in the comments, because we're all always looking for new sounds. First up is the Tube Screamer, the Ibanez TS9. This is obviously a classic pedal, and a lot of people don't like it, and I feel like it's because they don't know how to use it, really. The Tube Screamer is great because it adds mid-range to the guitar tone, and therefore makes it cut through the mix. So what we're going to do is plug a Strat into the Tube Screamer into a cranked Fender Deluxe Reverb. Neck pickup is my favorite to use, so I'll focus on that. This is also a great pedal to stack with a Bluesbreaker, which we'll get to a little bit later. Next up is the Boss SD1. This is a similar pedal to the Tube Screamer, but I like this more for the following usage. We're going to use a Les Paul into a Marshall 1987X, and this is going to add that mid-rangey crunch that you'd hear in a lot of 80s rock and just hard rock and maybe some metal types of music. Next up, I have the Guptech donut pedal. This is a copy of the Crowther HotCakes, which is famously good to use with a Vox AC30. So we're going to test that right now. Plug in a Strat into the Vox and the donut pedal. We're going to set the Vox to an edge of breakup sound, and then we'll use the donut to really put it over the edge for a more crunchy sound. You've probably heard about Klone pedals, and everybody makes them now. We're going to use the Wampler Tumnus, which is a favorite of a lot of people for Klone style pedals. There's two different ways that I like to use this. One of them is as a mid-rangey, crunchy, moderate gain pedal. And I really like using this with P90 pickups. So we're going to go a Gretsch with P90s into the Tumnus into a Fender Deluxe Reverb. The second way you can use a Klone style pedal is just as a clean boost. So we're going to use higher volume, lower gain, and obviously set the tone to taste. It feels a little more powerful to use it this way than your amp's clean sound on its own. Next up is the Rat pedal. This is another one that I feel like some people don't like it because they don't really know how to use it. And what's confusing about it is the filter knob is basically the opposite of a typical tone knob on an overdrive pedal. The higher up you turn it, the less treble there is. So we're going to use this in two different ways. The first way is going to be a Les Paul into the Rat, into a Vox, which is on the edge of breakup. This is for a relatively high gain overdrive sound that really cuts through the mix. The next way to use a Rat is with a Marshall to tighten up the bass for pretty high gain stuff. Next up is the Marshall Bluesbreaker pedal. This is famous and has a lot of copies from various pedal companies. The best way to use this is as a bluesy light gain overdrive. And a lot of people would use it always on. So we're going to test this with a Strat into the Fender Deluxe Reverb. Next is the Boss OD3. This is a favorite among a lot of people who have them. It's a nice classic rock sounding overdrive pedal with a decent amount of gain on tap. We're going to use the OD3 with the Telly into the Deluxe Reverb. I like to use this pedal for medium gain, and it's a nice classic rock trebly sound. The next thing we're going to talk about is amp in a box pedals, specifically Marshall in a box pedals. Here I have the Box of Rock, which is just that, a Marshall in a box for the 1959 amp. There are two different ways we're going to use this pedal. The first way we're going to use this is into a clean Fender, so you can use this as a kind of preamp. For something like this, I would leave it on all the time to simulate a more Marshall sound at a lower volume. So you can set your amp at a pretty low volume and let this get the volume you want out of it. And the other way that we're going to use the Box of Rock or any Marshall in a box pedal is to plug it into the Marshall 1987X to just give it more of the character that it already has. Sometimes you would set the amp gain to a moderate level, but then you want to boost heavier parts of songs or maybe solos. That's where something like this comes in handy. It doesn't drastically change the tone, it just makes it sound like more of what it is. And lastly, let's hear that Bluesbreaker into the Tube Screamer combo. So those are a few different ways you guys can use overdrive pedals. Hopefully this showed you some settings and stuff that you may not have thought of on your own, or maybe you'll use it into a different amp or something. They all sounded great to me. Thank you guys for watching, and once again, please let me know other settings and stuff that you like to use. We'll see you next time.